Hello everyone, welcome back. So let's tidy the things up a little bit. Start doing a little bit of formatting. As I said to you in the last video, that the given default names for the titles and so on are not particularly user-friendly. So let's start by tidying up the first one. So we'll activate it. There we go. And let's have a look at this visualizations pane, this bit here. It's split into two main sections and a little add-on extra as well. First one there, build visuals. Now we've done that. You'll see because this is a column chart, we've got an x-axis, y-axis, we can have other bits in here as well. But this is our building. This is where we bring everything in. The next little button along, next to build visuals, is format. And the format visuals are split into two again. We've got visual and then we've got general. General is your sort of background, your titles. They're not necessarily visual specific, but the visual itself, you have different options depending on which visualization you've chosen. So we're going to start by tidying things up on general. Now, what I tend to do is I'm working through those properties, title, etc. You do what you want and then close the chevron back up again. Otherwise, becomes unmanageable. So properties, the first one, you can specify an exact height and width and position, padding and so on. We'll leave that as it is for just now, but we're going to update the title. Drop that down. And as I said to you, it gives you the default one, which is sum of number of students by college. Any number field, the default summarization is addition, sum, because that's what we're usually doing, adding up, but we can change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the title to just number students by college. We can change the font and the size and the colour. Now, if you've got a piece of paper handy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the font to 20. It's up to you, but I'm going to change it to 20. I'm going to make my text colour white. My background, I'm going to pick a particular colour. This is the data education background. You pick whichever colour you like. You can specify, anybody who's done any sort of Photoshop or anything like that, you can specify the exact hex or RGB colour. And I'm also going to center it. The reason I said make a little scribble note down of what you're doing, I'm going to use exactly the same formatting for each of the visuals throughout this video. And then you'll see by the time that you've created our first dashboard, which we'll have done by the end of the first session, it'll look consistent. It'll look like it's supposed to be there. Remember, you, by the time I finish with you, will be experts at this. The person that you're making it for isn't, probably. So by making it nice and consistently designed, we're not... we want to make the whole visualization, the whole dashboard nice and easy to read. So I tend to do that, make a little note of them, and then that way you can make them consistent across the piece. And another thing, while we're in the, go back to there, the general pane, one thing that I would suggest putting on every visual on every dashboard under effects are visual border and shadow. If I click off that a little bit. By the time we've got a dashboard with maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 different visuals on it, by putting a border and a shadow on, they all pop out a little bit. You can see where the edges are, and it does make it a little bit tidier. So what I've done so far, I've updated the title. I'm going to tuck it in the corner there. I've added on a border and a shadow. And also, we need to make the optimum space for each visual. As I said to you, we may end up having multiple visuals on one dashboard. So we have to decide what information we want on there. I don't think, because I've got a title in this particular instance, number of students by college, I don't really need to let people know that this is a list of colleges. And the sum of number of students up the side there, I probably don't need either. So back over to format. And this that I want to get rid of are these elements are visual specific. So we'll go into visual, and you've got your X and your Y axis. Remember, Y to the sky, Y is always vertical. So I'm going to go into the X axis. I'm going to turn off the title. Just makes a little bit more space on there. Close that down. I'm going into the Y axis and do the same thing. There we go. And I think also let's have some data values on there. So the data labels. And again, if I open that up, you've got multiple options within here. The default, it'll just guess the format that we want on. In this case, 29K makes sense. But I think I'll put them within the bars themselves. So if I go down to position, in this case, I'm going to make them inside base. Nice, easy enough to read. That'll do. Tuck it in the corner there and click off so it's no longer activated. I'm then going to go in and I'm going to tidy this one up as well. Different visualizations have different default elements put within there. For instance, this table here by default doesn't have a title on. But I think to make it consistent with the other one, in this case, I'm going to add a title. So the build, in this case, college and number of students are within the build visuals. And so I'm going to go to format, general, remember, because title isn't visual specific. And as you can see, title's off. So I'm going to turn it on. Let's face it, the title is the same as the other one. So number of students by college. Now, a little nod back to my person who taught me everything I know about Excel, Jackie Bauer, if she's watching. When I was taught Excel, I was taught that every title should have a capital at the beginning of each word, and that's what I tend to stick to. However, I was also informed by a student the other day that that makes it quite hard if somebody's got dyslexia. It doesn't really matter which way around you do it, but if you're going to choose a capital at the beginning of each word, I've just noticed that should probably have an S at the end. There we go. If you have a capital at the beginning of each word, have a capital at the beginning of each word on each title. If you just have a capital at the beginning, do the same on each title. It doesn't matter which way around, just make sure they're consistent. So going back to my table again, under general, I want to make it match the other one. So I'll go back to my 20, text color of white, background color, and this is handy. Because I specified a specific color for there, you can see the recent colors pop up, and that's a really handy way of making your dashboards consistent. So there we go, center aligned, close down title because I've finished with that. Back into effects, that's where the visual border and shadow comes in. There we go. And I'm going to update this sum of number of students. Number of students makes more sense. To do that, we go back to the build. And you'll see within the columns, you've got college. Happy enough, we'll leave that. But sum of number of students. Drop that little chevron down, rename for this visual, and I'm just going to call it number of students. The other reason for doing that, it makes your visual a little bit tidier. It means I can actually tuck this way in the corner a little bit. There we go. And you've got that a little bit more space for it. Hey, where we at next? So if you've still got your map, for those of you who are able to do the map there, let's do the same there. Click on the map, into format, and let's do general first. Title. In this case, number of students by city. I'll continue my consistency. So I'll go 20, text color, white, background. Just remembered my education color, horizontal, and so on. I'll put my effects on, visual border, shadow. What else did I have on there? All right. while we're in here, your little help at the top there, loads of stuff in there. So you've got your little Power BI blog, very helpful little community, and submit an idea. Now, one idea I'd like them to do would be to be able to set up, and as far as I'm aware, this isn't available as yet, a sort of default set of formatting. If you have an idea for Power BI, if you're working through, you think, oh, I wish this worked, or I wish I could do that, or whatever, submit an idea. If you get enough upvotes and they actually do that next time round, you get paid for it. No idea how much. I think it depends on what you submit, but I love the fact that they're really keen to improve this on a monthly basis. While we're in here, I'm going to go back to my bubbles, colors, and I'm going to change that to there as well. Just makes it all nice and consistent. All right, what have we got next? There we go. Right, file save. Remember, no autosave, so let's get in the habit of doing that. So file and save. Leave that as it is for just now, and let's have a new page. Now, on this page, what we're going to do, we're going to have a table. We're going to start with college. And we're going to make it a bit bigger because I'm going to put a few different fields within here. And then I'm going to add to that SCQF level. You can see down here, I'm starting to build my visual. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to drag SCQF level in further 4 times. It'll make sense in a minute. So we've got 5 versions of SCQF level. So what we're going to do, I want to investigate a little bit more detail on the breakdown of the SCQF level across the colleges. Now, in this case, adding up all the SCQF levels, as you know, because you're all professionals within this industry, doesn't make sense. But we're nice to know an average. We can do that within the build. The little drop down there, chevron, if you drop that down, as I said to you, the default summarization for a number field is sum. But in this case, change it to average. Next one down, change it to minimum. Next one down, change it to maximum. You might need to stretch it out a bit. There we go. Next one down, change it to count. Now you'll notice there's 2 different counts. On this one, choose just the standard count. And on the very last one, change it to count distinct. Right, let me explain what these all are. Average, fairly straightforward. It's the average SCQF level. The lowest one and the highest one, I don't think I need to explain that. However, if we use this ordinary count of SCQF level, you'll see it comes to 10,000. That's just an individual count of every single class ID within there. So just a normal count, count them all through. The next, count distinct. That's got in there, and the SCQF levels within the data set run from 3 to 9, so there are 7 different ones. So count distinct basically means all the individual counts of the SCQF levels within there. Might take a little bit to get your head around that, but it's a very useful one to know the difference between the 2. So we've got ordinary count is just how many different there are there, and there are 10,000 rows of data, so that's giving us the. But the count distinct is a very useful one to find out how many different things are within that data set. Let's do our little tidy up just to get in the handy of it. So we've done all the build. Across to format. Start with general. There's no title in this one because it's a table, so add a title, and we'll call it SCQF level breakdown. Remember your consistency in the titles, so we'll go, if you were doing the same as me, I'll put that to 20. I'll make my text colour white, my background colour that blue, I'll centre it, I'll close title down, I'll add in my effects. There we go. and I'll resize it so it's nice and neat. There we go. Right, what have we got for you next? Click off it so it's not highlighted. And this one we're going to pick is the card. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along and 4 down. There we go. Cards are really handy visuals just for emphasizing a specific piece of data. And the one we're going to use is number of students. So with that highlighted, click number of students. Now, cards need a little bit of tidy up. And it's subjective, but personally, the default way that the card's designed is it has the category label underneath. To my mind, the card should be very, very simple, easy to read and understand, and really kind of just emphasize one particular point. So what I tend to do is add a title. And remember, general, put a title on. We'll call that number of students. Stick to our consistency, up to 20. In my case, text color white, background, whatever color that is, center, and I'm going to make it there. And because I've added a title, so it's consistent with other things, close that down. Oh, I'll stick my little effects on first, just getting a habit of that. I'm going to go back to the visual, so that's the visual specific options, and we don't need to have category label as well, so I'm going to turn that off. And that tells us the total number of students that Data Education in college have taught over the last 3 years. I wish. Anyway, we're getting there. Now, there's no filtering applied at the moment. If I just pick, for instance, Edinburgh College, I've highlighted Edinburgh College, and that is now going in and filtered the number of students by Edinburgh College. Click there again, filter comes off. The cards are very, very handy. These are all live. It's a great way of just emphasizing one piece of data there. Ooh. Right, so on the same page, click off, and we're going to have college and completion rate. Now, I'm going to move this over a little bit there. And actually, although I clicked college, which is a text field, so it's given us a table, I would prefer this to be a clustered column chart. Very, very easy. While this is highlighted, you just go and pick another visual. In this case, I'm going to have that. Also, this is where we use the best computer in the room, the one between your ears. What it's done is the completion rate, it's gone in, and remember, because it's a number field, it's automatically added them because that's the default summarization. But does it actually make sense to add up completion rate? I don't think so. We want an average completion rate because it's a percentage. So we'll drop down that chevron, beg your pardon, put teeth back in, and change sum to average. We'll do a little tidy up as we have been. So back to format, start on general, average completion rate by college. Yeah, that's fair enough, but I'll do my capitalization, just keep myself happy. I'll then do, you know what to do now, 20, white, background blue. There we go. Now, again, within here, I don't think we really need to have the axis titles on because we've got that information in the title and we want to make them as neat and tidy and easy to read as we like. So we'll put our effects on just while we're in general. Close that up and go to visual. And we'll go down x-axis and turn the title off. You can change font size and so on in here as well if you wish. Y-axis, turn the title off. But let's have some labels on. So data labels, if I put them on, you'll see them like that. Now, this is a thing called conditional formatting. You may have come across this within Excel before. They've done some Excel, you may not. So I'm going to update the colors on these columns based upon the value within them. So that's within format. And we're going to go down to columns. You'll see that the default color is blue. I can, if I want, if I put show all. This is a really handy way that people use it for branding their visuals as well. For instance, what I could do is I could go in, and if Edinburgh College has got one of the specific colours from the 3 squares, I could do that, similarly with 5 and so on, and I can update them all manually. But what I'm going to show you here is called conditional formatting. So that's under the FX button. And in a minute, that should open. There we go. I'll push that out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And format style. Now, we can give it rules and so on, but I want to make it, in this case, a gradient. What field should we base that in? Well, it's not count of college. We want to base the conditional formatting, the conditional colour, based on the completion rate. There we go. So you select that. You can pick whichever colours you like. When I'm doing conditional formatting, I tend to have a red at the bottom and a green at the top. It just kind of makes sense to me. So I'm going to say that the lowest value completion rate, in fact, shouldn't be sum, should it? It should be average. I'm going to say the lowest value should be a bright red. So I'm going to go into my colours. I'm going to take away all the green and all the blue. Anybody not done anything colour-wise like that before? Your RGB colours, if you want a 100% red, you just put 255 red. That's as high as it goes. The numbers go from 0 to 255. It's a programming thing. And then I'm going to put 0 green, 0 blue. The highest value, I want a 100% green. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to take away all my red and all my blue. And then add a middle colour and it'll find one. Press OK. You've now got your bars conditionally formatted, and all conditional formatting basically means is you're formatting them based on a condition. Oh, that wasn't too obvious. There we go. Also, I think we can do something about the legend here. I would prefer to have the legend centered because I've centered the title. So back to format, visual, because the legend is visual specific. I'm going to make it center. And I don't think I need the title on this case because it's just unnecessary. I'll make it a bit bigger so you can see it. And I think what I'll do is I'll put my data labels in the base. So there we go. Data labels, position, inside base. There we go. That was not particularly easy to read. We can maybe play with the colours a wee bit. But what we've now got is we've got average completion rate by college, number of students, and so on. Let's go to 5. And what it does is it just really emphasises the completion rate on these fictional figures on 5, tells me exactly how many students are in 5, and so on. And if I want to take the filter back off again, I just click it. If I look at West Lothian, again, it filters down. And just to show you, if I hover over that little funnel, it tells me exactly which filters and so on are applying to that specific visual, in this case, West Lothian College. Okay, right, you are. Another cup of tea. We'll come back in a wee minute. Thank you.